Hi everybody, and welcome to the fourth session of our Healthy Heart, Happy You. I apologise for the break in between sessions. I've had some well-needed rest and relaxation, so I hope you forgive me for that. But we're back, and we're back with a vengeance. And we've got some lovely recipes for you today. The slides that you've probably had through the email. And I hope you really enjoy them and give them a go at cooking them. Lynn's put a lot of effort in, and I'm sure you'll agree the slides look fantastic. Okay, so just to recap really on what you've been doing so far. Hopefully you've been putting the plans into action that we've done. Last time I spoke to you, we were looking at getting yourself measured, measuring your hips, your waist, maybe hopping on the scales, and doing those sort of like baseline figures so that you've got something to look back on as you go through this eating plan. I hope you've been looking at your Mediterranean diet score sheet. Now, I don't want you to do that every week because it's unlikely things are going to change on a week-to-week basis, or they might change very quickly if you only scored quite low on that Mediterranean diet score sheet. The idea with that is to, obviously, the more you score, the more Mediterranean-like your diet is, so the more healthy it is, the more heart healthy it is. So it's really kind of important that you keep going back to that and thinking, am I adding these foods into my diet, or am I reducing the ones that it suggests to be reducing? So it's really important that you go back to that. So today we're going to talk just a little bit about fibre and also about fruit and vegetable intake. So your challenge for this week is to be experimental with your fruit and with your vegetables, because as you know, they contain so many vital micronutrients, your vitamins and your minerals. And so we need those in our diet. As I said last time, some things were flagged up in heartbeat diet that kind of correspond to the wider UK population with the statistics out there, if I can say that, at this time of day. What time is it in my world now? It's 7:15 in the morning, so hi. Tired eyes. Okay, so yeah, looking at your Mediterranean diet score sheet often and redoing it, and maybe keep the blank version, so that you can keep going back to it and you're not influenced by what you've had on the previous diet sheet. I think that's quite important as well, thinking about realistically and truthfully what you're actually consuming on a daily and a weekly basis. Now remember, it's what you eat as a diet pattern as a whole that's really, really important. So don't be thinking that, on a day-to-day basis, one day you might have, foods that you perceive as being naughty. Okay, so you might have been somewhere, you might have had fish and chips, or, you might have had a big slice of cake and one of those coffees with the vanilla in it or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So that happens. And remember that 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, you're eating good foods that are going to be beneficial to your body. You're thinking of food as, healing your body, making your body better. But it's also got to be enjoyable, hasn't it? Food, we eat food as humans, for the pleasure of it. We know that we need food to keep us alive, but we think of it more in terms of the pleasure of eating, the joy of eating, which is exactly what it should be. We've got such a wide variety of foods that we can try. And sometimes we get sort of funneled into our little, way of eating, our set pattern. So it's kind of trying to experiment with different things. Some things you'll like, some things you won't like. That's absolutely normal. But try different foods out, try different varieties of foods, even within our fruit and vegetables. If you always go for the same, apples, bananas, pears, blueberries, have a look around and see what else that there might be on offer that you can pop in. A nice sliced up kiwi and strawberry together. That's absolutely delicious with a spoonful of natural yogurt on the top of it. So that'll keep you going. Okay. So the ways to get fruit and vegetables into your diet, it's really, really easy. When you're making your lunch, instead of reaching for the sandwich and having, traditional maybe ham sandwich and a bit of lettuce leaves and tomato, think about opening a can of mixed beans. I did say this last time, can of mixed beans, rinse it off. Or if you don't like the mixed beans, your own version of that. If you get them from dried, fantastic. But I for convenience, I just use the mixed beans, rinse them all off. Add to that, onions, tomatoes, cucumber, peppers, sometimes bits of radish, whatever else that you're thinking. And then you've got all your different types of leaves that you can add in there. You don't have to just stick to an iceberg lettuce, which is great for fibre, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. But nutrient-wise, there's not really a lot in there. So the darker or more colourful fruits and vegetables are, the more nutrient dense that they tend to be. Okay, and so obviously that colourful rainbow of foods that nature provides for us is there for a reason. The more colourful your plate is, the more variety of nutrients you're actually getting into your body. So that's a really sort of key thing to think about. So if you get your mixed beans and your nice salad that you've prepared there, then you could just have a little bit of fish with that. You could just have it on its own. You don't need to have anything else. But you could have a bit of fish with that, or a little bit of meat with that as well. And it's an absolutely perfect lunch. So thinking and being more experimental is really what I'm saying. When you're making up any sort of casserole or evening meal, think about the vegetables first. I'll keep harping on about this. We tend to think of what meat we have and then decide what we're going to have with it. But think about what vegetables that you've got in, whether they be fresh, whether they be canned, whether they be frozen, okay? Fresh and frozen are absolutely fantastic. And as I've said before, frozen vegetables, if you've got the space in your freezer, are magnificent, because you can get so many different things. You can even get, sliced frozen onions, peppers, that kind of thing. So you just grab a handful of them rather than perhaps buying them in, especially if you're on your own or there's just two of you. You don't want to be buying lots of things in and having them, going off in the bottom of the fridge. As I said last time, frozen sometimes is far more beneficial to you. Price wise, it's cheaper because you're just using what you need and you can save it there. Freshness wise, if we buy things from the supermarket and just bung them in the fridge, and then it's 5, 6, 7 days before you decide to use that cauliflower that you bought, or some cabbage that you bought, then they've actually lost some nutrients along the way. So it depends on you, what facilities you've got at home, and how you can incorporate that in. But yeah, frozens are really, really helpful and healthful, yeah, I suppose. Okay, so introducing lots of variety in your meals, so you can add your vegetables to other dishes, or have a really big side dish. As I've said before, I like to chop loads of different vegetables up, douse them with a bit of olive oil, salt, pepper, different herbs, spices, pop them in the oven, and that's a dish in itself, and it really, really brings out the flavours of everything. Experimented with things like sweet potato instead of white potato, just because of the phytochemicals in there, the extra goodness in there is higher in sweet potatoes, okay? And they are slower release energy as well. So I'm not saying you have to ditch the white potato. There's nothing wrong with the white potato. It's fabulous. But, maybe mix and match, that kind of thing. So think about the vegetables. Think about the colourfulness of your plate. Also like to think about getting, so beans and pulses and things like that into whatever you're doing. So if you're making some rice up, okay, you've decided to make, I don't know, chili and rice, for example. So in the chili, you've got your kidney beans in there. You might put some peppers in there, onions. So you've got all these wonderful things. You've got your garlic, you've got your spices, whatever you want to go in there. In your rice, it's absolutely delicious again to add some onion. Okay, so you can either put them all in and boil them, or you pre-cook with a little bit of olive oil, your onions, peppers, your spices. I usually add a couple of handfuls of frozen peas to that, and then mix that all in with your rice. So you can either, while your rice is boiling, just put them all in there together and let all the flavours infuse, or pre-cook the all the onions and spices and everything together, and then add that to the rice later on. Either way, the rice then turns into a dish on its own, which if you make too much, like I always do when I'm making anything with rice, you've got that then the day after you can have that rice meal for your lunch. And again, you can just have it on its own, or pop in, you know, a little bit of chicken or beef or whatever sort of meat that you've got around there. Tuna works fantastic in that as well, and mix all that up. So you've got another meal out of it. And I tend to do that quite a lot. I tend to make a larger batch of food that's going to last me over 2 or 3 days, and you know, try and be a little bit versatile with it. So again, if I go to the example of the chili and rice, on the first day I'll have chili and rice. On the second day I might have some more chili that's left over. I might have had the rice left over for my lunch, and then in the evening I'll make my own oven chips. So either with sweet potato or white potato, chop it into either wedge shapes or chip shapes, steam them for 5 or 10 minutes to get them soft, take them out, drizzle them with olive oil, salt, pepper, seasoning, pop them in the oven. So then I've got chili with chips, which is gorgeous, and you're in control of it, and you've added that olive oil in there, and you've added your spices to get your flavour in. Absolutely wonderful. And then if there's any left over, I usually get the tortilla wraps, and I'll put the rest of the chili mix into some tortilla wraps, roll them up, grate some cheese over the top of them, pop them in the oven. Voila! Okay, meal 3 out of that. And that's just 1 pack of mince. Okay, so that's the kind of thing that I do too. It's saving money, it's versatility, and quite often when you've made it something like a chili, it tastes far better the day after. It tastes, all the flavours are fused together. Okay, and you're not having the same meal put in front of you each night. It's something a little bit different. And of course, adding nice salad with that as well would be absolutely wonderful. Okay, so with the fruit and vegetables, excuse me, ideally you're going to look for 3 servings of fruit a day. So remember, if you have 3 bananas a day, that is not 3 servings of fruit, okay, because a banana contains, nutrient-wise, what it contains, okay. So that's why we need the variety. So try and vary. If you're only using the little satsumas, you need 2 of those to make up one portion, okay, 1 serving of it. So I think we might have gone through this before, but just remember that, because it's worth going back to and worth remembering. And it's the same with vegetables. Try and get 3 portions of those in as well. So I know it says 5 a day, but that's 5 or more a day. The more, the better. So introducing you know, all that variation and variety every day. So think about what vegetables you're going to buy, how you're going to buy them, what meals you're going to do. So again, that comes back to the planning. So remember, I said one of the most important things that you can ever do to improve your diet is plan. Okay, so we're planning what you're going to eat for the next week. So that helps you to plan your shopping list, helps you to get things together and say, and it might take a few weeks to get you know, sort of rhythm doing that. And once you've done that for a few weeks, excuse me, you'll probably find that you sort of recirculate. So what you had for week 1, you might think, oh, okay, I'm going to do week 1 again, meal-wise, because we do tend to eat more or less the same kinds of foods on a sort of revolving cycle. You know, you might have your favourite foods that you have, and you just recycle them. Some people have strict, you know, I have this on a Monday, this on a Tuesday. If that works for you, that's absolutely fine. Okay, so it's whatever works for you. So getting those into your diet are really, really important for heart health. And as I said last time, the more that you can increase those, the better it's going to be for your overall health. All right, so fruit and vegetables. The next little topic is fibre. When I did the research, I found that the Heartbeat members that took part in this, their fibre intake was far lower than the recommended intake of. The recommended intake is 30 grams per day of fibre, okay? So we can get fibre from what? From whole grain, whole wheat products, cereals, okay? Oats, definitely oats, because they've got the beta-glucan, which is really beneficial to heart health. If you have 3 grams or more of beta glucan a day. So if you're having a product, you don't have to buy special products that say it's got it in. Normal oats will contain that. Some other cereals will contain that too. Okay, so don't think you have to buy the more expensive varieties of anything to get that. So yeah, beneficial for heart health. And fibre is also, oh, what was I saying about how much you actually take in? So yeah, 30 grams a day is recommended. Okay, so Heartbeat members were around about 20%. The mean score is about 20 grams, of fibre a day. The national average is around about 18 to 20 grams. Okay, so we're way short on that. Why fibre isn't mentioned in the media a whole lot more, is a little bit worrying. And again, I've probably talked about the fibre before, but it is because it's important, and I think it's important we kind of keep pressing this, in our minds, that we're increasing the fruit and vegetables. So I make no apologies for going on about that. Once you've got your veggies sorted, then you can decide what meat you're going to add and how you're going to present it and how you're going to serve it up. That's absolutely fine. And it's the same with the fibre. Thinking about your fibre, whole grain, whole wheat is what you're looking for. Okay. Now, if you are somebody that does suffer with something like IBS, as I've told you before, I suffer from that, and I know many of you do. Increasing too quickly is detrimental to your health. So you've got to work, with your body and how it feels. And there could be interactions with certain medications. So listening to what your, medical experts have said to you, so you know your body. But if you can get bits in and start to increase, that's really going to help your overall health, not just your heart health. Because as we know, increasing fibre intake, what does fibre do? Well, when you consume fibre, your body doesn't actually digest it. So it takes out the nutrients that it needs, but it isn't fully digested. So that means you've got more bulk going into your digestive system. So in your small intestine, where digestion takes place, that isn't happening. So a lot of this fibre then goes on to your large intestine and your colon. So then that is transited through your digestive tract, and we eliminate that as in waste. Okay, so the bigger the stools can be, the more that sort of aggregates and irritates, if you will, in a nice way, that bowel area, keeping it clean and fresh. Okay, it speeds up the transition of waste products through the bowel. So these are some of the mechanisms whereby they feel that it improves the risk of cancer. Okay, reduces your risk of cancer, sorry. You know what I mean, improves your outlook and reduces the incidence of bowel cancer. So almost 50%, around about 45% of bowel cancers could have been prevented by increasing in fibre intake. So that's a massive proportion. So if you think you're going to increase your fibre, get more fibre into your diet, then that's going to reduce the time that waste products sit in your bowel, which could be a mechanism whereby the cancers form because of the toxins that are in that, if that makes any sense, if I'm making sense this morning. Okay, so improving transition out of the body, keeping the gut healthier. Fibre also helps with the gut bacteria that we hear a lot more about now, and how that can really benefit our bodies, benefit our heart, benefit our overall immune system, and the reducing inflammation. We know that inflammation plays a massive role in the initial, initiation of coronary heart disease, of atherosclerosis, so the clogging up of the arteries. Okay, so inflammation actually contributes to that and continues that to grow. And the increase in fibre is thought to help to reduce the inflammation a little bit. Okay, so gut health, bowel health, heart health. So really important. Beta glucan, 3 grams or more a day. So just do some research, have a read of labels of whole wheat, whole grain products that you've got. Have a look, where you get that from. So higher fibre is in things like, Weetabix, bran flakes. They're also beneficial because they might be fortified with different vitamins, vitamin D, for example, B vitamins are in there. So they're beneficial for a multitude of purposes. So absolutely fantastic, get those in there. And of course, the good old oats. When I ask most people what they have for the breakfast, 9 times out of 10, you do eat cereals and you do eat oats, which is fantastic. So keep that up. There's no problem, however, with having maybe a high protein breakfast once in a while, and maybe having scrambled eggs. You can add in there some spinach, some tomatoes, and scramble all that up together, maybe some mushrooms, and that's absolutely fantastic breakfast. The higher protein makes you feel fuller for longer, keeps you more satisfied, and so that's quite nice as well. And I'm not saying just have that as a treat, but obviously it's an offset because you want to have the fibre intake from the cereals, and the best time to have those probably for most people is in the morning with the breakfast. Okay, I'm a little bit odd. If I'm going to have cereals, I tend to like them later in the day, bizarrely, or in the early evening. Okay, so a nice bowl of bran flakes or some porridge is wonderful any time of day, I reckon. But yeah, most people have them for the breakfast, then it's kind of done and out the way, so you've ticked off. It's almost like taking medicine, so there's nothing wrong with that at all, whatever works for you. Okay, so I think I'm just going to leave it there today. So the important things are, going over again, keep up your planning. Don't stop with the planning just yet. If you haven't started planning, give it a go. Okay, give it a go, because that makes the massive difference. Once you're aware of what you're actually eating, that improves your diet no end, because as soon as you've written it down, you've almost sort of like done a contract with yourself. That's what I'm going to eat. And remember, if you're going off track a lot, you're not being realistic on that plan. Okay, it's something that you're never going to stick to. So you've got to be realistic and make that plan as personal for you as you can. I said right at the very beginning of this, we've got to work together, and you've got to do quite a lot of the work, and that's the only way that it'll work. But it's finding the plan for you. It's okay somebody else telling you, do this, do this, do this. But if it's not your thoughts and how you want to do it, it's not going to stick with you, is it? So you have to make those transitions, and say you might, fall off the wagon or go on a rocky path sometimes. That's fine. We're human. We're going to do that. So it's just bringing it back on. Let's plan. Let's write out your shopping list. Let's get as many fruits and vegetables, different kinds, frozen, fresh, tinned. Obviously, if it's tinned, it's got to be natural juice, no cheating in syrup, and so natural juice. So all these things all help. And with the frozen and the tinned, they're just there in the store cupboard. So if you hit a lull, you can think, okay, I've got this, this and this. What can I make with that? All right, get experimental, have a little play about with things. We're going to increase the fibre intake. We're going to have whole grain, whole wheat for everything that, we can possibly do. See how you go with it. If you do find that you're getting a lot of wind or bloating or nausea, then ease it back a little bit. Doesn't mean you can't have it. It might be the mixture of what you've got. It might be the volume of what you've got. So that it doesn't need to say, if you've had, sort of reaction one time, that you can never have that again. It might be something that you just need to experiment with. Okay, so just stick with it. So doing those measurements, hips, waist, definitely, and hop on the scales if you want to. I said last time that I was going to give you the parameters that you should be in for your waist circumference, hip circumference, excuse me, and for your working out your basic metabolic rate, for your calorie intake if you wanted to do that. And I think I missed them off the email, so I'll make sure that we've got those on there. And also you've got the fantastic recipes. Now these recipes will come in a bit more often now, and we'll get those going for you. So that's all very, very exciting. Give them a whirl. I like the way she's put them together for you. They're fantastic. Okay, as always, if you've got any questions, give me a shout. Drop me an email or drop Carl an email. Absolutely not a problem at all, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. All right, so take care. Enjoy the crazy weather, and have fun. Experiment with your food, and I shall see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.